Good morning, everyone. Thank you for waiting patiently while we got all of the presentations loaded in. My name is Tom Pupo. I'm the executive director of Moonlighter FabLab and co-producer of Maker Faire Miami. I am very, very excited about this presentation, as this is a program that has been in development for over 10 years, thinking about urban design, urban placemaking, and digital fabrication as a means to teach people technical skills while improving their communities. So this is the latest manifestation, and we're proud to say that it is funded by the National Science Foundation. So this program isn't just building a resource for our community, but it's also creating a playbook for the entire country to use and activate makerspaces around the country to improve workforce development pathways while also building new resources for local communities. We have an esteemed panel of judges today that will be judging the students' work. Ali Gonzalez. Ali is a technologist, so if the students are pitching anything with any kind of lighting or electronics, she will be judging that. Lisa Arrogante from City of Miami Beach, Arts and Culture. One of the main stakeholders of the project. Annabelle Yapes, or Lapis, right? Lopez, from the Lincoln Road BID. Gustavo Grande, focusing on the innovation and impact side. And Cheryl Muriente, who's also an urbanist and tactical urbanist. Yeah. And James Brazil from Studio Brazil. Oh, and Melissa Heggie, right? Heggie? From MHCP Collab. Come to the front, Melissa. You're a judge. You're a judge. Okay. So the way this works is we have a cohort of 20 students who have been working over the last 3.5 months on creating their design proposal. So they have been learning the urbanism skills, the digital fabrication skills, and the innovation skills all at once. So it's been a very wild ride for them the last couple of months. And this is the culmination of that work. There are 5 different teams of 4 students each, and they are creating their own unique proposal for the Lincoln Road Historic District. There are 2 different sites, so they'll explain that in their presentation, which site that they picked. And they'll explain the reasoning behind their design. So we're hoping that you pay close attention to everything that they're saying, because it might be a different site on Lincoln Road, and there's very different purposes for what they're implementing. So each of the 5 agencies will present their project, and at the end, the judges will deliberate, and we'll be announcing the winner, who will actually get fully commissioned to build this in real scale on Lincoln Road. So thank you, Lincoln Road, for being a partner on that. So without further ado, if I can get Agency 1 to come to the stage. If you need a second mic, there's a second mic here.
Okay. Hey.
Do we all fit? I think we all fit over here, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, good morning, everybody. We are Munguanas. Well, first I want to thank everybody for this opportunity, everybody sitting here, Tom especially, and, well, we. So we are Munguanas. We are Jess, Rocky. Danny won't be here today because he's in his graduation ceremony today. Yeah, but he will be here in voice and me. So the site we've chosen is located in the city of Miami Beach, and it's part of the Lincoln Road District Master that started a long time ago on 2015. So this portion is called Euclid Stage. And the total area is around 9,000 square feet. So we did a lot of data collection, and we're going to highlight some of the data collection that is important for us. So we're going to know who are the visitors in Lincoln Road. And we know that each day, around 5,000 to 10,000 people come to visit Lincoln Road. But we learned that only 63% are locals. So every day, around 3,000 to 6,000 people visit Lincoln Road. So why this matters? Because we design for people. And as Lapidus said, spaces are theater for life. So who do we design specifically for? Who is our target demography? It will be local residents, especially families. So another interesting data is, it's self-explanatory, but it was a research done from 1940 to 2020, and the hours year, how it keep growing, it grows like 2.5 times, so, and this is a tendency. And the time that we learned also that is the most hot on the Miami summers are from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And both were researchers from the UM. So we also explore some apps where we can see how the exposure of sun is on our side. So we can upload our model at the end and see how it's going to work in real life. So after all this data collection and our analysis, we came to these observations or conclusions. The space functions more as a corridor than a destination. People don't stay, people walk through. So why do we think this is the thing? Why this happened? So one thing we notice is lack or uncomfortable seating. Some examples. The second is not enough lighting at night or not attractive. We can say that. So this is how it looks at night. North planter, south planter. And third is not enough shade, especially during summer days or at noon. So this is the west corridor and the east corridor at noon. So how do we envision this space? That's the nice part.
Our proposal, Loose, which is a multi-sensory playground for local families. Our design draws from native systems already adapted to Miami's climate, translating their resilience into the form. And in the background, we have a sketch of all these sources of inspiration. So addressing the needs of the space required highlighting them and actually trying to solve what was there. And the first thing that we realized was we need to add more seating. So really getting into the nitty-gritty is observing the site and looking at where people were walking, where were they stopping, and seeing those spaces that could be better utilized. On the right-hand side, I have a little sketch rendering that shows I was already thinking of how can we define this space without overwhelming it, but really make use of what was already there, and how can these elements exist. So I started playing around with the shape and how people could use seating. So you have a little sketch of a person sitting down, and was really inspired by organic forms. And on the right-hand side, there's a little plasticine model, kind of playing around with what this could look like as an early prototype. All of this research led me to the seaside dragonlet, which is a native dragonfly species that exists near bodies of salt water. And that's how I got to the seaside dragonlet seating. This model was done with a laser cutter and put together, kind of already thinking of how we can show dimension and depth and how we would exist in the space. And here is a rendering, somewhat to scale, and placed roughly where it could go, and leaving the room for air to flow through, but also flexibility for if we want to add color, if we want to add acrylic, having it be something that can highlight and play with the space and not overwhelm it. And the specifications are that on a large scale, this would be CNC milled at the shop, and that the size of the big ones are 3 feet wide, 25 inches deep, and 8 feet tall. And the size of the small ones are 3 feet wide, 25 inches deep, and 3 feet tall. And then we have our wonderful Danny here in spirit, and we're gonna play a sample of him talking about it. You ready? Okay.
Hello everyone. I chose the American lotus, a plant that's native to Florida, because of the night garden experience at Fairchild. I wanted to recreate the glowing garden experience. And as for my first prototype, I 3D printed a small lotus with a base that holds a 3-volt battery, which allows me to power a red LED in the center. Then I expanded the idea by using an Arduino kit to create a simple circuit that allows the LED to shift colors, creating like a RGB glow. In my second prototype, I scaled the design to a 6x4-inch lotus and used translucent PLA for the pollen. And this allowed the light to diffuse more naturally, creating a softer and more realistic glow. And finally, I developed a rendering image of multiple translucent lotus flowers arranged together with LEDs surrounding the site.
Thank you, Danny. And just to kind of keep you guys aware, this would all be 3D printed parts, hand assembled and wired using PLA filament and LED lights. And the sizes are rangeable, variable, from 6 to 6 inches to 13 by 13, so that they can exist in the space but not be giant pieces. And roughly 60, and they would all be placed in the planters, and being aware of the fact that we would have to provide our own source of power.
Okay, so another thing we wanted to address is the shade. And here we played around with the idea of kinetic canopies and the idea of when the sun hits, playing with shade itself as it hits the ground. This is the first prototype where I cut through a laser cutter. This was first as the shape of a dragonfly to kind of see, to test it out how it would look on the ground. This was another design that we thought about putting the curves of the ocean. So when the sun hits, you create like this immersive feel of being underwater. And the tools we wanted to use is already accessible tools that exist, like C-clamps and wires, which already show that it's strong enough for the winds, and it would create this, it would be an installation that it's temporary. In the specifications, it would be about 6 to 8 feet tall or 8 by 10. And we would laser cut the fabric, and the quantity would be about 4, but we can play around with that idea and idea of colors as well.
We also don't want to negatively impact the space, being aware of the stakeholders and the landlords. So thinking of that temporary installation, we decided to use the light posts that already exist as a visual anchor, but create a whole mechanism around it. We're using a cement base and recycle HDPE supports that look like seagrass, kind of reflecting that image. And this is what it looks like in this space. Oh, sorry. And here are some layout renderings of what it could look like and how it can exist. This is from overhead. And this is the final model that's right here to your left. So if you'd like to take a closer look, this is an overview and a quick video showing how the sun would play with the light of the shade. One thing that was super important was we have to activate the space, and the way we would do that was to create free and open to the public programming at least once a month that would take advantage of the things that are there without being too much. So something like a glow-in-the-dark chalk night, a silent disco dance-off, a light show with projections that would make use of the LEDs in the Lotus. And here we have our estimated budget, kind of really thinking of all the possible needs. And you can click the link and go further into depth. So this whole project was to think, what if a space could invite you to pause, interact, and feel something unexpected? And that's Loose. Thank you guys very much. Oh, questions. Yes, yes, questions. Yes. Oh, perfect.
So congratulations, thank you for the presentation. I love that you took into consideration our nature and our resiliency component. One of my questions is, I got lost when you were making the case for the sun and the families and the time between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. or something like that. And then all of a sudden, I saw a lot of activations, or at least designed for the night. Also, you mentioned that it's mostly a corridor, but then you want people to sit. So can you elaborate a little bit more of why? For me, it's a disconnection, but I want to understand your reasoning behind it.
Yeah, so we tried to find the areas, real life examples. Oh, there's another question over there later. Real life examples of ways people have already solved these issues. And one of the things we looked at was playgrounds that mostly function at night. So they use glow in the dark surfaces, bioluminescence, lighting, to really take advantage of the space and make it not a corridor, but invite people to stay so that they can take advantage of the visitors, so that businesses could have more profits and just create more interest in that area and have it be more used. Other things we were looking at was the Bass Museum has the Miami Mountain, and those are bright, glow-in-the-dark elements that exist very well during the day, but also play very much at night, kind of really shine through that, and that's what led us into looking into that. And the data was kind of our justification for why we were pitching something that would look beautiful during the day and would be usable, but that would really show up and exist in a vibrant manner at night. Is that clear? Does that answer it? More or less? Okay. Any other questions?
Yes. I saw that you're having those lotus flower lighted with LED, and they are powered with solar panel. But the lights are on at night. So are they having batteries?
Yes, yes. So there are pretty easy and ready to play with systems that are small solar panels, a little battery that can connect to the Lotus. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. And I think we have another question here. Oh, okay. All the questions, yay.
Great job. I really like how you took nature and brought it in. But my only question was just wanted to know a little bit on the materiality of the shade sail. Because I know you're talking about the heat, but I'm not sure necessarily with so many holes cut in. It looks great, but what is it made out of? Maybe that would help out a little bit to understand how it helps to mitigate the heat. And secondly, the seating. Is there any plans to maybe prefabricate before even building in cardboard? Because I saw those undulations and if you want people to linger, they have to be comfortable.
Yes.
So
yes,
it looks cool, but I'm not sure how comfortable it is.
Yes.
So those are my two.
I 100% agree that a cardboard prototype is always better, and you can really explore what works and what doesn't. As for the shade, we were looking at materials like a thick cotton canvas, knowing that it can be in the space between 3 to 6 months and it'll stand up. But we also were very aware and cognizant of the fact that we may end up wanting a heavier material that is more sun resistant. And so what we were planning on doing was, if we could not laser cut the shade itself, we could laser cut the template and sew it and cut it ourselves using the sewing machines that exist in the Moonlighter makerspace. Does that answer? Okay. Annabelle?
Wonderful job on your presentation. My question to you, did you take in consideration the time of year of the installation and the footfall and the sun? Obviously, in the summer, we have less nighttime activity, and what does that mean for the foot traffic, right? So we have sun till 8:30, 8:45. What is the peak time of the traffic on Lincoln Road, and how could you really optimize the night impact? Because really, it's the night that makes it pop, but how is that going to really making sure that you have more of a life of the installation?
Yes, of course. Our draw to this space was a lot based on what you told us, Annabelle, about wanting to have things that are more inclusive of families, being aware that the needs of the space and the needs of the people. So we're hoping that with having it be very prevalent, that we would have programming, it would invite people to stay longer, but also as it is summer, it would be after that 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. window where it's like unbearably hot, and kind of really taking advantage of the fact that people are still strolling through the space from 6 onward, and kind of inviting them in a sort of like relaxing manner so that they could come in, linger, and use the space that they want to. Does that make sense? Yes. Yes?
There is no school in summer, so people can stay later.
That too. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Thank you for your presentation. I was very impressed with the way you put the whole thing together from the beginning. It was very, very thoughtful and clear at the beginning part. The one thing I would say is that it doesn't feel like a cohesive project because you each did your own individual piece, but I don't feel the collaborative aspect of it. And so individually, each piece works very well, but I'm not sold yet on how it works together as a whole.
Okay. Thank you so much for that feedback. I appreciate it. Yes? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, actually, I have the exact same comment about them being very good individual projects. And I understand the nature aspect of it, but I think looking into what's local and the flora and fauna, how does it all connect together. The seating, yeah, I mean, I live on Lincoln Road. The seating, yes, people do linger, but there's seating most places. And I think there's more of a relationship between your core concept as light, the placement of objects, and your shade. So how does your shade structure perform? Does your seating get placed where there's maximum shade at the particular time of day? There's some functional things that could be worked on. But I do agree, I think you should cut back on the things. I think that you should focus and really just pick one or two things and really just make that your core theme. So when people enter your space, they understand it without having to visit 5 individual things,
Okay, thank you so much. Oh, Gustavo. Oh, there we go.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for your presentation. My question, and it's going to be the same question I think for all the agencies, is did you take a look at the history of Lincoln Road as far as the Morris Lapidus design? Because I do agree with the 2 previous comments of the cohesiveness, but overall the cohesiveness of the project in the landscape of Lincoln Road. And it's very famous for black and white, for mid-century modern, and your presentation, your proposal is very organic in that sense, and so I don't see it really melding into the space because something to think about is sometimes, and I've done temporary projects that end up being permanent because people really want it, and then you find funding, and it's just a recommendation in the future of seeing how it could really integrate into the space.
Yes. Do we still have time to answer this, Tom? Okay. Oh, Ali, you have another? Yes, go ahead.
Wonderful presentation, great usage of the laser cutter in the model. I have 3 questions. In the activation section, you mentioned using projections at night. If you could elaborate on that, what would that be? How would that work? The other 2 questions are related to durability and structure. You mentioned using the CNC and creating these wooden benches. How would that hold up in the rain, with the weather here in Miami? And then for the tension structure, how are you going to support that so that it doesn't cave in on itself?
So, okay, by order, yes. The cohesiveness is something that we were cognizant of, kind of looking. We didn't want it to be all the same, but be kind of in the same play space, but I agree that it could use some improvement in trying to make it more together. The design being like Morris Lapidus. Ale can talk about our inspiration behind Morris Lapidus, and actually mid-century modern was originally inspired by organic design. They just refined it to a very simple form, so this is kind of expanding on that, but creating a little bit of contrast we thought would create some interest. And right now we have a lot of colors in the presentation, but we're aware that we would kind of want to do a solid color, how Lincoln Road already uses like a bright pink there or a bright blue to light up a space at night. and that would be kind of our predominant energy throughout the space. Projections, okay. The projections was a kind of idea, we'll be completely honest, it's not fully fleshed out. Just trying to take advantage of what is there and what could be there. We already know that the LEDs are there and we can do like a light show with them where we could program the lotuses to kind of display a thing. And the projection could be something temporary, a quick sort of one-time event, not sort of regularly. There was something else. Oh, the materiality, yes. So a part of our budget is maintenance, but also recognizing that things like the recycled HDPE would definitely stand up, the cement would definitely stand up, the wood element needs to be refined a bit more because the models right now are just kind of like poles going through the CNC carved shapes, but definitely thinking more about maybe the rib sketch that was earlier in the presentation where it was like an intersecting ribs, so that would be more sturdy. And James Brazil actually gave us the pitch of like a water weight and thinking about how permanent it could be, but also wood with a nice clear sealant can definitely last for a few months, or a paint that is meant to be durable, part of that like one tonality color that can really push through the design, and maybe that can help seal the wood better. But it's also, the wood is not it doesn't have to be, right? There's definitely room to play with it, and maybe it could be that we CNC do a mold and then cast it with another material that's more resistant. So that sort of thing. Not being proud of our design, but being aware that there's always going to be room for improvement and recognizing like what are the experts. And part of our budget is also to, maybe we have to professionally send out something or hire someone to give us advice on materiality, an engineer, things like that. Does that answer the question? Yes. Yes.
Morning, everybody. How we feeling? Yeah. All right, so we are Keystone Collective. My name is Malcolm. This is Noah, Sadai, and unfortunately, our other team member, Kayla, she is graduating, so congrats to Kayla. She can't be with us today. But yeah, so we are designing for Lincoln Road and Euclid Avenue, also known as Site 1. Our name? Oh, yeah, so we're Keystone Collective. I said the name. And we found a problem, and the problem being that Euclid Ave has little activity relative to most parts of Lincoln Road. And so we thought of a variety of things we could do to liven up the area. Oh, my bad. As you can see, over here in this spot, there's usually a lady making bubbles, kids playing, families sitting around chilling. But over here, there's usually maybe one or two passerby, somebody eating lunch for a little bit, and then they leave and go somewhere else. And then this is the seating they have, and not much else. No seating for, people to congregate and be in groups, just like single seats. And so we settled on integrating modular seating with a gameplay area, including chess and Connect 4, and with a mangrove theme, having a mangrove leaf tables with chess play on them, and also LED lighting for night play. In the beginning, we had a few ideas. I had a crazy idea for some kind of mangrove puzzle piece. We also thought about having a giant orange for like a photogenic kind of thing, people to stop and take pics. This is a bit of a poetry board design I made with magnetic tiles that would have mangrove words on them for kids to make their own poems. But we settled on just having a chess area, also including Connect 4, with a wave bench, a foldable wave bench, and again, the mangrove leaf tables. And then there's just a rendering of what it would look like at night with mangrove ornaments on the canopies that would be providing shading during the day. And Sada, you want to cover some of the ideation?
Okay. So for our selected concepts, we wanted to basically use what we already had in the space and just make it more welcoming for family, friends, and tourists. So originally, like he mentioned, the seats that we had in mind were very individualistic, but we decided to add benches and individual seatings. So the bench would be shaped like a wave, which is very symbolic to Miami Beach. And for the seats, we wanted to integrate a lot of like the national parks and our nature, South Florida's nature, that is not very found. It's not found in other spaces. So the idea was, like he mentioned, a mangrove canopy. And for the individual seats, we want to include flower-shaped seats that basically are like a direct inspiration from our flowers that are found in the Everglades and in near the mangroves. So we also wanted to incorporate the history of Lincoln Road, because as we know it was created in the mangroves area. So one of the stakeholders, which is Annabelle, she came and she talked to us. She said that she wanted to make next year a more family-friendly space. So we wanted to think of like how can we do that, and without of customizing a like chess table, and also creating a customizable Connect Fours that would also be relating to our natural environment. And then for the lights, we wanted to basically use what we already had, but implement lights on the poles, like around it. And then they would only come on whenever there would be like events or future partnerships, because what we want to do is that this space is already pretty big, and we don't want to add on to it when what is already there can be used for things that the city already has. So partnerships and the stores around the area. So why would we want to do this? One of our challenges lies in bringing people to the site, and a lot of people, from what we noticed in our observations, is that many of the people are tourists. So what we have noticed is that right across from where we are located in Site 1, people sit there and wait even if it's sunny and it's hot. So we wanted to do seats that were comfortable and that would actually encourage people to come with families and friends and just stay there together. For Site 1, we also wanted, like I said, to make it more welcoming, and we wanted to incorporate the LED lights. In the chess tables, it would be very different from what a natural chess set would be, but also our pieces would be customizable. And we also thought that since there's schools around the area and chess is a pretty well-known game, it could be beneficial for partnerships or other events that could bring people around. We also wanted to change the idea of the original canopy, which was a chainsaw structure, to a canopy of the mangrove roots. So it would only be the roots. We would still continue to have our idea of the mangrove, but now we're just focusing on the roots and how they can create a space for us. Yeah. And so these are some of the selected concepts that we had. For the mangrove roots, what we want to do is kind of create something that you can put together. And here in this picture, you can see how it's like two pieces that you can just combine.
You go.
Okay. And then for our selected concepts, here's also kind of like the overview of what we have and how we envision it to be.
Now, okay. And now for our design development, as you can see to the model of our left, we have our benches, we have our chess pieces, and we have our light poles. And this is our final design project, which is the mangrove roots hang it around. But before, we were tossing the idea of a canopy around, but we figured with the material, all that, it'll be hot, conduct heat, and it'll just cause heat for the people around there. And like I said, we have our mangrove in the site to attract people, and also tourists that we have there are families with children. Children love to run around. They love doing all that stuff. So that's why also our bench is wavy-like, because it has that interactive sort of feel for the children to mess around with. No. And like I said, we also have dominoes, chess, and checker chess. And what? Yeah, and these are all our sketches, old sketches. And then these are also all our old designs, the dome structure we had tossed around too. And then here we have our final design that you can also see to your left. As you can see here, we have the wavy bench, the chess sets, our floral seatings to have that South Florida native wildlife feel. And now we have, and with this, also with our design, we could have it open, so that way, like I said, I also mentioned, we could have partnerships, events, music, all that to also make it open and interactive at the same time. And our budget, these are our budget listed acrylic for our chess pieces, and LEDs for the little chess pieces to also make them interactive, motion sensor lights. And that's it. Thank you.
Any questions from the group? Questions, judges? Anybody? If none, we can. Oh, okay.
Excellent presentation. Love the model and all the 3D printing that you guys did. I do have a question on the games. And so you mentioned chess, Connect 4. These are games that have pieces that aren't necessarily secured to the game board. How are you going to deal with the potential for pieces going missing, let's say?
So this was actually something that we thought about while we were thinking of the idea, and we were lucky enough. Sorry. We were lucky enough to have a conversation with one of the mentors. And so while we were having the conversation with the mentor, we thought of just that, right? Like, how can we make sure that people aren't taking our stuff? And how can we make sure that people appreciate what we have created? So for the leaf-shaped tables that we're gonna have, there's going to be actually a pocket where they can put, this is for the chess pieces, right? They will be able to put their pieces back, and we'll have messages so that they know not to take them. And usually when you have like sentiment behind a message, people are more likely not to take them. So that's kind of what we want to do, but we also will have, we'll check and make sure that pieces don't go missing like every month or so that we can be sure that like if something needs to be replaced or something needs to be added, we will do so. And for the Connect 4, one of the ideas that we had, one of the ideas that we had that we got from a lot of the research that we were doing was that we saw Connect 4 that has been 3D printed. They, like, the way that they were created, they had like spirals. So they go automatically, they're self-sorted. So that's kind of the thing that we wanted to do by also integrating like the environmental aspect of South Florida in the chips. Yeah.
Thank you. Mine is more a comment. I want to say that thank you for your presentation. I loved how you thought of how do you make it more of a destination for people to stay, and integrating games like chess that are classic games, and you see them in New York in different parks, and it really engages folks to keep coming back and stay for a longer time. So I did like that you were thoughtful in your presentation and including that. Also, I like that you included mangroves. Everyone knows we were mangroves before in Miami Beach, before we were actually a city, and so I like that you incorporated that in your design, and it still doesn't clash too much with Lincoln Road's identity. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for that. And like looking at the model helps a lot to understand the intent. So for the location, this feels quite appropriate in terms of like activating no matter what time of the day. So I appreciate that. And also the other thing that was really cool, at first I was really worried about that wave bench, but after I saw the model, then I'm like, okay, I can see how kids would use it almost like a playground. So it's kind of cool, like that would be like the kids seating versus the adults most of the time playing a hard game of chess. Children do too, but like you start seeing like there could be, if you refine it, take that wave into another level potentially.
And the reason for that was that we were like, since we were focused on like South Florida as a whole and the environment, we were like, what is significant to Miami Beach, right? Like, why are people coming to Miami Beach? And from a lot of the interviews that I had with tourists and visitors, they were like, the beaches are really cool, and I like the stores, and I like the food. And we're like, well, we can work around with all of that, but something that, you know, even after that, we were still kind of like stumped on what can we do, how can we implement Miami Beach? And I simply asked my friend, Kayla, what do you think when you think of Miami Beach? And she was like, beaches. And I was like, hey, a wave. So that's kind of why we were like, okay, maybe a wave-shaped bench while also implementing like the flower seats.
Any last questions? Yep, one.
So, thank you for your presentation. I'm glad that you showed the examples of the model because it was a little hard to follow from your presentation to the actual concept. But I like that the concept did kind of gel really well. I could tell that you worked very collaboratively on this, and so the final piece, I think, works really well together. So you can kind of imagine how the whole space would work and feel. But I think the visuals could be like a little bit stronger because you sort of sell yourself a little short without having those strong. But the concept, I think, is really great. So it's exciting to see how it's evolved since we initially met.
Thank you.
Yeah, one question for you. So the shade structure, could your proposal exist without it?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Could your proposal exist without the shade structure?
Yes.
And how would you do that?
Well, because there's already shade on that mangrove structure. Like it's already there, but with this, we just thought because it's there, just that one certain part is right there. It's really prevalent. It's just right in that center spot, but everywhere else, like with the mangrove already, shade is already there. So our main focus point was just the center of that, because that's where we assume the most foot traffic people should be. So that's where we focus more on the shading part. But if it's not there, people like the sun, people like to have that tan, especially out here in Miami. So you could just stay there, play your game of chess, sit down, or you could just sit around the edges of the mangroves.
No, I think that leads to my next comment, is that I think it's strong in its individual elements of the furniture specifically, and I could see that happening, throughout, in a wider part of the site.
Yeah.
Furniture underneath the tree, some of these chandeliers in different places.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, big round of applause for Agency 2.
Thank you.
Okay, so our firm is called Nomadic Design, and my name is Layla Morris.
I'm Margie.
I'm Camille. Hello. And we have a missing member, but she also helps, of course. So our concept is called Enchanted Everglades. Currently, Lincoln Road and Elucid Avenue is treated as a transitional space. We notice that it's lightly occupied, tranquil, and very dim at night. Our current mission is to amplify the site's existing atmosphere and create an interactive space that connects the visitors to their environment. So I wanted to give you guys a background on Lincoln Road. Lincoln Road used to be a mangrove forest, and it was cleared in 1912 by Carl Fisher, a developer. And currently it is incorporated like native plantings and has current projects that already allude to the landscape and what it used to be, but it's also planned to become a gateway for the residents that live nearby because it's near a neighboring residency, like a bunch of residents. And it's also planned to implement a garden alleyway. So when we went to the site, we noticed that a lot of the people that walk by are families in that area, because right ahead of that area is this green, like green planter full of grass where kids play a lot. And so a lot of families already tend to go over there along with the ice cream shops. We also noticed a lot of walkers and runners. And then because of the neighboring businesses, a lot of employees tend to frequent the area. Outside of that, there's tourists. So when we talked to some of these people, a lot of them mentioned how they like to work out. Like especially someone mentioned going to High Rocks, I believe. And then yes, and a lot of people came for various reasons, but we also talked to families, and 2 of the families mentioned how the main reason they come to the road is for 5 and below because there's not a lot of spaces for their kids. And I also remembered when you said that as well. So we took that into mind when we made our design. Our design features are a multi-purpose mangrove, a circular platform area, a black road area for chalk, fake grass areas, and a rest area with a library, along with native flower decor. We brought the model on stage just so you guys could visualize more. So I wanted to go into the main structure. The main structure we have is a mangrove-looking structure that basically is going to be 8 feet tall, and we wanted it to have various curves that can use different, have different functions. For example, if you look over there, I thought if some of them curved kind of like a pull-out bar or different things, kids could use it, and also various other age groups like the fitness ones can use it as well, similar to the recreational stuff you see at parks. And then also, if you look inside of it, if you were to go back, inside of the structure, there's a whole couch-like area that we can put nets on that either, if someone wanted to use it for playful use versus leisure use, we thought it could use for both. And we really wanted to work on kind of focusing on multiple different demographics. It's also tall enough to walk through if you just want a visual experience of yeah. So more than a structure, it's an experience. We want to encourage visitors to leave their own marks and contribute to the evolving identity of the space, because landscapes are always changing, and we thought to play on that experience. So this is not only about remembering the roots of Lincoln Road, it's also about creating a place for new memories to grow. And that's why we thought that instead of first we were thinking of ideas of epoxy or different things that could kind of create a water-like effect on the ground, but we decided after speaking to actually James Brazil that maybe the users could create the landscape. Maybe they could be the ones drawing on the ground, and so every single person that walks through can change the site for their own, and maybe that's the reason they might even come back. So we really wanted to focus on atmospheric experience. We thought we could do that with lighting. We really wanted to use flowers, and we were thinking of using fabric and wire to create different native flowers that are found in Florida. And we also wanted to use big, if you look over here, we wanted to use big lotus lights in the planters, but main ones spotlights maybe, to later create light shows and etc. Programming that we were thinking of was light shows, and we were speaking to Ali about different ways to program the lights to have different settings and colors to create an experience at different times. We also thought, because we were creating circular platforms and grass-like atmospheres, that we could have story times or even movie nights and yoga at our space. The fabrication process. So right now, we're mainly thinking of making the mangrove structure out of aluminum tube, because then we could also contract it out and use metal fabrication and not have to worry about the structural integrity as much. We also wanted to bolt the structure to a platform so that we don't have to worry about it dropping, We really want to care about safety. And we wanted to have the platform have PIP, which is playground rubber, just in case someone were to fall or anything to, yeah. So the impact that we were trying to have is transforming the space to accommodate many, advancing Miami's agenda on wellness and inclusivity, and evoking a place for the stimulation of the mind and body. These are our different budget materials, if you were to look. So we checked, you can look over those, but we looked over that, and we have, even though it is under budget, we really wanted to focus the site on programming, so we wanted to give room to explore avenues, such as the workshops we were thinking, to kind of activate the site, which she can tell you more about, the birdhouses, for example.
Yes, we were planning on having birdhouse building activations where people could build them, and it could add on to the natural sound of the space, because if you sit there are already some wind chimes, and it's a very peaceful space and it's very serene, and I wanted to keep the original sound and add to it by adding more nature. So we chose birdhouses, and we were going to build some of those and attach them to the trees. Also, we had an idea to have a QR code like scannable website, and we were going to build like the birdhouses and place them all around Lincoln Road so that people can be like, oh, it's this, scan the code, and it'll be like a treasure map to our site.
All right, so that's a big overview of our project, but mainly we just wanted to create a connection between the nature and the people and the community in the site, and that was our big idea for our project. Thank you.
Any questions from the crowd? Or judges, yes.
Can you go back to the slide that shows the site location?
The site, yeah.
Okay, so it's all the same
Sorry, I
site.
forgot I have a mic. Elucid Avenue on Lincoln Road.
Okay, thank you.
I do have thank you for the work. I do have a question. I love all these programming ideas.
Yes.
But then when I'm looking at all the things on the site,
yes,
I'm starting to wonder, like, where does it fit to? So, like, if you're saying yoga, but you have a big structure, I think kind of centralized with the roots.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to wrap my head around between the balance of people occupying the space and then all the elements that are designed on the space.
Okay, so for that, this model is a rough draft, but we were thinking of incorporating grass, like fake grass, into patches, and we were mainly thinking of, like, in this back corridors, like, even though on this, I don't know how to explain it, but when you visit the site, the space looks small from, like, the distance, like when you're looking into it, but when you actually go into the space, everything is a lot more expansive than you think. So, like, each, like, for example, here and here actually has a lot of room, and so we were thinking of one of the back areas for that, because the entire wall is completely, like, clear, and it's like, how would I say it? It's giving the space of, like, 5 people. So there's actually a lot of more room than you would think, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and you can walk through it, so it wouldn't be blocking anything. It wouldn't be blocking anything because you can walk through it. Yeah. Also, we didn't mention we reached out to Miami-Dade Public Library System, and they would be happy to supply us some books to have, like, a little book library, just like the initial supply, and that way people can come in and exchange the books, and yeah, just have also reading space.
So I appreciate the background, the history, and the statistics. I think what is missing is the story that connects all those dots with either your programming or your installations. So again, an image speaks more than 1,000 words. You actually had to mention that one person actually fits, right, in order for us to have that fits into the 8-feet mangrove main structure. So just like you did the designs, right, the digital designs, I forgot the name, right? The renders of the mangrove, you could have incorporated the human element there based on your programming and on what is one is capable to do there. So how this background, the statistics, the storyline that connects all that with the concept is key, not just for you, but for the teams that have presented in the past and the ones that are going to present after this. Please help us, the judges and the audience, connect all those points.
Yes, thank you. I'll note that for next time.
Thank you for your work and for your concept. I do like the idea of creating this as a hub for wellness, but I do think there's been a lot of different ideas for programming, whether it's the birdhouse or now it's the book. And then, so I think you need to stick to one concept and really kind of vet that out and what you want this to be. If it is a wellness moment, and there's one iconic piece, well, really take that thought and elevate it and make it more comprehensive instead of doing so many things, but really making one thing right and good versus trying to do everything and accomplish it.
Got it. Thank you for that. I think I just had a lot of ideas because, like, when I originally looked into the architect of the site, he was always like, too much is never enough. So I kind of took the same mindset when I was designing. Yeah. But thank you so much. I'm going to note that.
Thank you. Great presentation. As someone who programs on Miami Beach, I do agree with all the comments. But I could really visualize myself being there in the evening to do a Instagrammable moment with the tree. So focusing on that, keeping it KISS, keep it, if you know what that means. And maybe if you do the wellness, do something like in the evening where it's relaxing. You could do poetry, just trying to keep it very simple. But overall,
Yes.
I did get the vision that you were trying to do, and it was a great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well done with putting lights in the model. Love it. I do have a question on the projector. So,
Yes.
well, two questions. What were you planning on projecting to, and what would you be projecting? Like, what would the content be? And how would you be fortifying the projector to be able to withstand the elements?
Okay, that's a really good question, because we want to make sure that this corridor has not only activities in the daytime, but also activity in the nighttime, and that is family friendly, engaging, and also creates the sense that we want them to take away for them. Okay, so projection mapping, we have two historic buildings from the east to on the west also, and we will put, with sounds, of course, images of Everglades. So we can put sunsets, we can put the animals, we can have movements of birds from... What? Well, yeah, that could be also, part of our programming. We have so many ideas to do programming, to keep inviting people over to come in the community, not just locals, but tourists, to participate of different events. But the mapping itself, answering the question, is having, different images reflected. Of course, we will install using the infrastructure of the buildings, from one side of the east and to the west, reflecting on that area.
Our member who isn't here also contacted the business that's across from it and already asked them about if they were willing to collaborate with us with different things, because I remember you mentioning James Brazil, when we had a call with him, he mentioned to us about how plugging in and different things with technology is a struggle that sometimes happens on the road. So we already contacted people that could help us to make sure it could actually manifest and actually happen on a regular time.
And the fortification of the projector?
Oh yeah, we were planning to build an outdoor box in order to protect the projector from the outside elements like rain and weather and sun, because the heat can also damage the projectors. And then I also noted what actually Ali noted to me, that we need a projector of a certain amount of lumens. So we looked into that as well. And yeah, thank you.
Okay. So, like some of the other people said, there were a lot of different ideas that were didn't quite gel, but there were some really strong things I wanted to point out.
Yes.
I really love the mangrove idea and the concept of a kind of being able to walk through it and play with it. And I almost feel like that should be your concept. That could carry the whole thing. I also really like the idea of the sound of the bird houses, because I think that's kind of unusual, and it's it's an important sense, right? And so I like the idea of having that throughout the Lincoln Road. And then I just thought that was very kind of special and unique. I think the programming is a little ambitious, but I'd like to I want to know more about the programming. And so I think if you kind of focus on just a couple things and then the programming supports those things,
yes,
you have a really strong project.
Thank you so much.
Hey, so whereabouts is your projector placed? Where's the projector placed?
At Lincoln Road and Elucid Avenue, that one.
No, but the actual projector, where is it installed?
Oh, do you mean the different elements and structures?
Yeah, so we were planning on placing one mangrove here, and we were going to do two, and the other one was going to be in the wide walkway that's next to the dog park and ice cream, and then over here is the stage, so it would be here, because this one's a lot skinnier, like that one.
I mean the actual projector box.
Oh, the projector box,
yeah.
It would be here, because these are windows, this wall is full of windows, so it would be here, in this corner right here.
Okay, I mean, a suggestion, maybe include that in the top of your mangrove structure. It could be...
Oh, for the projector. Oh,
for
that's
the
really
projector.
smart.
So, it's one element, because I do agree that that's the strongest part. Can you go back to your, the rendering of it? Okay, and then the buildability, you had that exploded axonometric.
This one?
Yeah. So I mean, I can see you guys starting to understand how this
Yeah.
goes together, which I think is, the strongest part of your proposal is that it's very feasible and very
Yes.
understandable. That okay, you guys have put a bit of thought that, the bird boxes. I didn't really see a rendering or detail of it. So I think this is your strongest part of the project, and I think that if it is this kind of center part, maybe putting your budget more to the metal fabrication.
Yes.
And thinking about how does that. With the assembly, and the fabrication, is that all going to be outsourced? Can that be some that be with you guys inside the makerspace?
We did think about that, and most of our budget, if you look at the budget list, I actually allotted a lot of it to the mangrove structure to make sure that would be good for the people, since I know it's a main aspect of our design. And we were thinking about what could be done in-house. It's just that if we do aluminum tube, I know the machines at Moonlighter aren't as fit for metal, and I don't want to destroy your machines. So that's the main reason that we were mainly thinking that. I know that some elements of it could be created with wood and supported with metal, so we can still explore the avenue of doing some in-house. But for now, just for safety and structural reasons, I wanted to just go and push forward the metal for now, just in case people will climb on it. And people, you can't control how people use your things. I remember one of you guys said that to me, and I was like, that's so true. So yeah.
Okay, good.
All right, big round of applause. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We are nomadic design, no matter the site.
Welcome to agency number 4's presentation. I hope you're all having a fine Makers Fair this weekend. Let's get started. My name is Nicholas Diaz, and I'm here presenting with
Genesis. All right. So, our vision statement is interactive seating for an already activated zone. Our site is situated where pedestrians already naturally congregate, so we figured we could leverage already existing foot traffic into an installation that can offer rest and connection to passersby. All right. So things going forward that we wanted to keep in mind going forward with our installation are just past installations that had through case studies. First is a community art wall in 2019, which was a mural inviting public contribution. And while the community really liked it, it suffered from weather damage and just constant maintenance. So going forward with our installation, those are just things we wanted to keep in mind. Then in 2022, a soundscape installation was installed. The auditory experience featured music and ambient sounds, and it was innovative, but its impact was limited since it didn't have overt physical engagement. Then in 2021, a temporary seating pad was put, and it had modular, colorful seating units placed in various locations, and they were very popular. And they just showed that people really wanted a comfortable places to sit in high traffic areas. Okay. So, ideation recap. The installation will feature a circular sculptural form utilizing materials and colors. This is a prototype we made for our actual design. We still kept the shape. And then we wanted subtle interactive features with interactive lighting and sensory elements that responded to human presence and touch to kind of get that connected feeling with passersby. Okay.
So some design considerations for our optimal impact is that we wanted to include a current array of benches, and we wanted to utilize the already built construction of the site, which is the Lincoln Road Follies that we have here designed by Morris Lapidus. And with our interactive seating, what we wanted to do is that we wanted to include just these walls that could be used as seating with the holes that protrude through them. And so with the holes that protrude through them, we have the ability to sit in them while passerbys wait either for their spouses, if they're in the shops, or if they're waiting for their Ubers, as we did a lot of interviews and we found a lot of people coming here, traveling, not locals, that were passing by with Uber, and we're waiting in this specific area with no seating arrangements for that area because we are situated right in front of the street intersection. And another thing that we utilized was recycled materials and locally sourced materials like wood and the seating itself. And foot traffic patterns, we heavily took into account the foot traffic patterns because as we know, this is a high traffic area because it sits right along the main corridor of the Lincoln Road cross.
All right. So this is how we broke down our budget. We broke it down with acrylic, finishing, seating material, which we're going to primarily use canvas, outdoor canvas, hardware, metalwork, and lumber, which came out to be about 90.9% of the total budget, or $31,815 of the budget that will be used for the installation. All right.
So the final design construction for the front facade, we have this easily applicable and constructible resource using laser cutting techniques, laser cutting or CNC. It's really flexible in its usage. And how it works is that you have these different facade layers on the front of the wall. And what you're able to do is, as the walls are situated underneath of the follies, utilizing their already constructed shade, not needing to build high or risky structures, we're able to pull the wall out from underneath the folly as it's situated on rails. And as you pull out the folly, you can see on the back side, we have the gears, and as you're able to pull out the folly, the gears turn, and in turn, that responds to the front facade of the folly, where you have the different hierarchies of scale of the front facades in different layers. So the reason we have this bottom notch here at the bottom is that as the wall pulls out from underneath the folly, this front layer moves side to side, and the one in the middle moves up and down, creating this optical illusion that the folly is rolling, even though it's situated in the same place, though it is moving out from underneath the folly, including inducing people to come and interact with it through pulling out the folly, and as well as from the back side, watching the gears turn and seeing how that interaction moves. And besides the gears turning, we wanted to make sure that this was a safe structure for our users. So we have this acrylic piece that covers the gears. And the reason why we wanted to have acrylic is because we want to make sure that the gears are covered, but still visible. Because the point of this included structure celebrating not only Lapidus, but Miami Beach as a whole through its Art Deco design, was that we wanted to celebrate Miami not only through its history, its rich history of Art Deco design, but to show that Miami is funded, and the heart of Miami is the people, no matter if you're from here or not from here. And so our plan is on the opening night of if this folly is applied, we hope to, could I have the pin? Yes. Thank you. Since it's acrylic, it's easily flexible to write on. And so if I could ask the judges, and the final axonometric. Thank you.
Any questions from the judges or participants? Yes.
All right.
They're getting
Well, I want to see what he's bringing. So my question is in regards to the mechanics of how the gears are specifically going to move the various elements.
So the gears, we have a very thick structure, and so the gears that are on the back end are rolled through this wheel. So as you roll the wheel and the structure comes out, it at the same time rolls the gears on the back side and moves the mechanic on the front side as well. So everything that's really being mechanically pulled is in the thick center, and the gears that are on the back side are purely facade, although they do move. And then for the front facade, as I mentioned, you have the bottom notch, that's horizontal, so that's what moves it side to side, and then the secondary facade, which is vertical, and that'll move it up and down.
So congratulations on keeping your cool while I destroy your model. I'm
No,
sorry
don't
for
worry
that.
about it.
And I think this is the most important slide that you should have included in your presentation, because it's different from what I see on the slides than what I see over here. Not like I was trying to picture it, but here I can actually see it. It's obvious. It has a lot of room for activation and interaction.
Yes, for sure.
So congratulations on that.
Yeah, and as you can see, we hope to include these holes in that center area where the thick wall is applied to include LED lighting, and that way, you know, we have the whole summer. We have June, Pride Month. You're able to use the rainbow colors. In July, we have 4th of July, America 250. So this offers a customizable aspect to a wooden piece.
Congratulations on all the design work and actually capturing the spirit of the Art Deco, because I love the feeling that there's two things. This reminds me of an old school library where you would move those racks through
Exactly.
to see the books behind. And at the same time, it also reminds me of Clockwork, right? So there's these elements of something that's from an era before now, which translates with the play. So I appreciate that. My only question is, I know you were saying these things are on rails.
Yes,
So
so
do
they're
you
rails.
pull them out and in from under the folly, or how does
The
that work?
wheel is what pushes the rails out.
But does the item itself move completely?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
That way you can be in the sun or in the shade, whichever one you prefer.
Hi, it's exciting to see how your project has evolved, the Art Deco pieces, and I think that's very unique to all of the other projects. We have like a kind of a environmental piece, which is also very interesting. But the concept is terrific. I think you need to spend more time explaining and using. You did some really strong visuals. It would be great to also have them in your power presentation on the screen so people could see. But I like the complexity of it. I like the playfulness of it. I like how things move and it's interactive and it's one strong piece.
Yes.
And it's very simple, but it has a lot of detail and it has a lot of play. So I think you guys did a great job.
Thank you.
Overall.
Thank you.
So yeah, I mean, I agree with all the judges' comments. You know, I've built many things like this, and you know, the mechanics of weight of the whole object itself versus someone sitting on it, and your material selection. You know, there's going to be a lot of wear and tear on this thing, and I think trying to do 5 of those things would be a bit of a stretch. I think a lot of your development time is just going to be figuring out the mechanics of it. So, you know, one suggestion is that maybe these things don't move side to side. Just keep one type of movement to it, so you can have some sort of strong base. But you know, and think about that. You know, maybe the part that they sit on is stationary, and then the bits in between the two surfaces are the ones that move. So you can make that out of a lighter material. So then, you know, you have less weight kind of bearing on all these gears and all that type of stuff. But you know, I think overall it looks great. I think the you know, the Art Deco kind of paneling looks really good. I think maybe look at a different finish than just plywood. You know, I think that it needs something, you know, looks quite elegant, and it needs something a bit more richer in the finish, and I think that would really elevate it. I mean, your renderings are great, so I mean, if you can achieve something like that out of plywood, great, but you know, maybe try to think about different finishes.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
some great points. Location, it is a high traffic area, so you're going to have a lot more visibility and engagement with this piece. I like the nod to Art Deco, of course, and to the mid-century. I love the fact that you can add color at night and engagement, seating. So there's a lot of points that you've hit on the nod. My concern goes back to some of the comments that he made, is safety-wise, because it will get used a lot. There's a lot of public, a lot of traffic. So thinking about safety for the public is going to be paramount when you build something like this. The weight has to be there. We're certainly probably going to need the plans for building because of the height as well. So it's another layer when we're permitting this with the city. I think it's very aggressive to try to do so many. I think one or two done right is more than enough to make a statement. I like the idea of more elevated finish to go along with the white architecture, more lapis and things like that. But I think it's something that would definitely pop and the people would engage with.
Thank you.
Thank you, Agency 4. Great job.
Hello, everyone. We are Solaris Studio. So our vision is to transform sunlight into a shared experience. And the common theme is light, community, a play, and emotion. We have a quick agenda. We're going to talk about ourselves, the problem we're trying to solve, and the insight we gathered to our survey. And we conducted a gap analysis and the opportunity we found based on our survey and the proposal we have to solve the problem we'll be talking about. We'll talk about the design concept and show you the breakdown of the cost it'll take us to build our proposal. So my name is Jose.
My name is Linda.
My name is Mercedes. All right, guys. So Miami, we know that it's a hot place, right? And human-centered design is meant to bring people together. But with Lincoln Road, what we notice is people are not coming together because there's not enough shaded area. Even though there's vegetation, the type of vegetation that we see are palm trees, which don't provide enough shade. A lot of people walk through the corridors of Lincoln Road. They don't stop and take a seat or take a moment to really take in what Lincoln Road has to offer. And this is a big problem. It's a problem for stakeholders. It's a problem for Lincoln Road itself. It's a problem for visitors that are coming this way. Some of the problems that we noticed after surveying around 35 people was heat, spatial needs, and the experience economy. People actively, you see a lot of people coming through, but none of them are sustained enough in the shaded areas. And this is not negotiable for comfort. During peak season of heat, such as June, July, and August, we can experience up to 105 degrees Fahrenheit. And this is a concern not just for the stakeholders and the businesses and the tourists, but for the community itself, because it can cause a lot of dangers with heat exposure. And we want to create more shaded areas so people are able to really enjoy Lincoln Road.
So based on our survey, we conducted a gap analysis. If you can see here on this radar chart, the key thing about this radar chart, the bigger the gap between the red and the green, the bigger the opportunity. So you could see there's a bigger opportunity right here, which is seating, live events, and interactive art. And the other are kind of not so much opportunity, but there's room for improvement. So with that, that gives us an opportunity, right? To create to use the sunlight to make a shared experience. So we're gonna be focusing on to have a visual experience, a cooling and perception where you could actually feel comfortable being out there, and also have a social catalyst, meaning you could be out there, meeting people from different part of the country, and then socialize, talking about yourself, and then meeting people and pretty much having meeting people and making connection.
Okay, about the proposal. After more than 35 surveys, we get important special data. So, for example, the colors, the meaning of the colors, the positions of the fabric, everything is tense about the data, about observations and surveys. So, one app we use, let me show you very quickly. Here, we use this shade map. No, it's here. Shade map. So the shade map can show you the day and hours and how move the shadow. You can see this is the city, especially our point in Lincoln Road, and how I move depends the hours and days. In the middle, for example, is the UV radiation. It's more UV radiation. So one of the color, red color, coming from there. Number one. And number two, the survey, we ask the people, what is the mean for you of every color? And for example, in the morning they say, the majority they say, the morning is energy, feel good, exercise, walk. So that is why the morning is yellow color. The red is more space with red color because it's more hours during the day. It's between 11 a.m. until 3 p.m. So that is the reason that we have more. So the reason and the meaning is focus, because the people say when my lunchtime, for example, I can do my own things, finish some things, so that I'm so focused in the midday. So in the afternoon is blue because it's calm, it's relaxed. So you went to sit there and see the sunset, that's it. So that is the meaning of the colors. So if you, okay. That is the reason of the colors. So another thing, we use the, yeah, okay, perfect. So we built a app here. So actually you have in QR. So if you put your phone in your QR, you can see whole app. So you can move here, this is interaction. So you can see the shadow of the day, and after this, you can see whole documentation we have here. Here, you can see whole documentation, videos, pictures, colors, everything that we worked on last weeks is there.
So with that, we have to talk about the design element. So, right, the colors, we want to use colors that keep up with the current color they use, which is the vibe deco style, right? Our deco style. So we think fabric is the way to go. A fabric with different color, sort of like a acrylic, to keep up with the color theme. And we want the space to be interactive. So we want to introduce an interactive wheel where kids can come up and play with the tools, and then that increase the dwelling time for the area. Also, we want to use lights at night, right? It's all good. We have shade, we have shadow in the space, but at night we want to have the dwelling time where people could still stay in the area. So lights will also go to the fabric, creating a sort of a shadow, and then you could also take pictures and share with your friend. So as far as the technical aspect, we want everything to be modular, meaning that we could move parts. Let's say we have the structure installed, and we see how people are interacting with it. We can move it around. As far as the material, we want something that's UV resistant. That way it could last throughout the summer and different seasons we have here in South Florida. And then we want the structure to also be safe and accessible. Safe, we want round edges, and also armrests for people when they sit within the structure. And it needs to be fixed and stable, and also fully ADA compatible. So for materials breakdown, we want a structural frame that's solid, like I mentioned. Seating could be modular, where we could increase different setup, where we increase the amount of seating available. We need to have a tree canopy, again, to provide more shade, and also a lot of lighting, like I mentioned earlier. So for the implementation, should be fairly quick. We go to our fabrication using 3D printing, CNC machining. So that should be straightforward. And then we assemble everything. We have to test, focus on testing. Even when we have everything implemented, we need to be testing, still getting feedback from the people that interacting with the space. So what would be the impact of this structure that we're going to be installing there? So it's going to be increasing the wellness. People are going to have a reason to come outside, to stay there and interact with other people, making connection, and also create activation. So there's going to be an investment to make. We have to buy all this material that I mentioned, so it's going to be an investment. So here is like a oversimplified version of our structure here. It's also here on the floor. Linda already pointed out most of the parts here. And show me the money, right? It's going to be costing some money. We predict it's going to be within $30,000. Initially, we're going to have 8 to 12 seats. We can build this within 4 weeks. The maintenance is factored into the budget as well. So with that will bring us the shared experience we discussed at the beginning, so everybody can enjoy the space.
Just to finish, in the interview with Ms. Annabelle, she offered us the channels and communication strategy part of the bid, Lincoln Road bid. So that is why we developed a communication strategy. So with the opening, if we opening with this project, we can give the people that type of gifts. Take a shuttle with you is part of the promotion materials, umbrellas, UV resist umbrellas as well. And that is all. Thank you so much.
Great presentation. Any questions from judges or participants?
Thank you for your presentation, and also thank you for focusing on a problem that we suffer from all over Miami Beach. It's hot and we don't have a lot of shade. And because Lincoln Road is a pedestrian right-of-way, people are constantly looking for just a little bit of respite from the shade. We have tons of palm trees, but palm trees don't provide shade. So I guess my question is, with the shade here, those follies have a roof to it. So there's already shade under those. Is this meant to just help with some of the shadows that come during certain times? Because it's already shaded under the structure.
There is some shade there, but it's not optimal. So we bringing this material to optimize the space. So the fabric there, when you're there, you see it's really windy, but the shape of the fabric will bring the wind within the space, make it a lot cooler.
And another thing, we propose as well mist system. Is the mist system, can you explain the mist system?
Well, the mist system, I think you guys are familiar when you go to a hot area like the zoo or anywhere outdoors, there's always like a mistifier, like some humid water, no? And this helps keep people cool. Instead of installing fans or anything like that, there can be misters or the fabric to help bring in that wind and facilitate that experience as well.
Right, because sometimes we don't get wind and it'll just be like a shade. And the interactive component is this piece on the bottom where maybe kids can move it, or...
I'm going to pass it to Jose. He's our engineer here.
Yes, it's the yellow part, which is this piece here that's glued. As you move the wheel, the structure will have the sun move around, and it will be interactive, and it will be very educational for kids to understand the timing of the different timing of the day, from sunset to from sunrise to sunset.
Okay, and my last question, because I know the judge, what is the tall piece?
What is the...
That cylinder piece?
The cylinder, that's a good question. The cylinder piece meant to be a actual space where people could go inside of it. The top would actually be open during the day when it's really hot, and then when it needs to be closed, it'll be closing. So this is what the cylinder piece represent.
So what would the people do inside?
The inside is just that you could go in there, there'll be lights, and then you'll be able to take picture, you share it on Instagram with your friends and with your family.
Okay, thank you.
We have one question from the crowd.
Like a two-part question. I really enjoyed the presentation, but it made me wonder, what would you say to somebody who would say, like, why not just plant trees? Like shade trees.
Well, there's a lot of pinning trees it's not, I mean, it could damage the tree over time, I would say. That's not sustainable.
Okay. And second part, like, so would you say what you're trying to build is like a antithesis to like hostile architecture? Like things to drive people away, like the anti-homeless spike, stuff like that?
Not so much, because I mentioned modularity, right? We do know we have homeless issues, but with the modular benches, we could structure it in a way where nobody can lay on it, but you could sit on it and enjoy your time there.
Okay.
Any last questions?
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate the amount of research and the app. Like, all those things are amazing. What I wish would have happened is this feels like a very literal rendition of the sun versus mitigation of heat. And then I wish I would have seen more of the spring, like if you're saying there's going to be sprinklers or something, like leaning more towards the actual, if you're going to interact now with the sun in a new way so that you feel cooler, what does that then look like? I think would have given you a little bit more of a robust design solution.
I agree. That's a good observation. The main thing is not to have a complete structure ready to go. The main thing to have something to start with, and then as we see how people interact with the space, and add more things later on. I think that's the best way to go about it, instead of win and spend money, and then people don't really enjoy the place.
Okay. Hi. To echo what Cheryl said, I really appreciate all of the work and time that you put into this. It feels a little distracting from the actual presentation that you're trying to do. So you have a lot of bells and whistles and all these really cool things that went into it. But I would like to see like something more simple. And so to kind of pare down. And so it's also reflected in your concept. You have a lot of different pieces. But the kind of the essence of the concept was very simple and really beautiful. And even when we first met, and the idea of the light and the colors of the light, it was so, like, I thought it was amazing. Like, it was a very beautiful concept. And so it's sort of, it's not as pure here, because you have a lot of different elements that are somewhat distracting. And I agree with the idea of the motif. So I think to kind of simplify makes it stronger, because you have a lot of good ideas and a lot of good concepts, a lot of really good work. And I can tell you put a ton of time into this, but it's like kind of reining it in, you know, edit.
Yeah, totally right. Yes, what happened is because when we start with the main concept, was just acrylics. Acrylics in the roof, acrylics in everywhere. So after talk with the mentors, one of them, he say, you need to focus on the sun or the shade. So if you put acrylics in the roof, so how you make more shade that actually the main stakeholder is looking for, right? So that is why we take the decision to change the material, like a fabric, because help us give you more shade, a lot of reasons. But at the same time, another parts of the mentors, they say, I love the acrylic idea. Actually, you tell us as well, right? I remember that. Yeah, so that is why, and it's true, with the sun and acrylics, it's amazing. It's like a magic illustrator, a magic moment. So that is why we keep the acrylic, and we spoke as well. Oh, let me show you this. And another thing, we asked the people in the survey, and everybody is agree about the type, or give us ideas about this decision. So this is example. The engineering can explain, please.
So essentially, specifically on the benches, so we could have the design like this, and within the design, we insert acrylic or maybe a material like HDPE that's more UV resistant.
Yeah, I mean, you're clearly a very strong team. I think in whatever way you guys work as one big team to develop the final proposal, you guys should be upfront on that. I mean, you guys have a great cohesiveness of thought and execution. I really enjoyed the presentation. Yet I agree with some previous comments that there's a lot of things going on inside this, and I think that the bench and this mechanical element could be one thing, could be more brought out from the shade to where the sun is, so you get really that that effect of the colored light and filtered and things like this. I think the canopy won't really work. It just doesn't function, and it's already shaded. Maybe turning that into a facade element, maybe where the wind actually blows through it. Actually kind of creates some sort of, and creates more shade as well, and more rhythm on the ground, like this acrylic kind of shade. So I think you got a lot of things going on. Maybe a week of just pulling it all together would be really helpful.
Perfect. Those are great feedback, and we'll be able to put those into work here. Thank you.
All right, big round of applause. Thank you, Agency 5.